Yes, ma'am.
I relate openness with fantasy. In these aligning thoughts and feelings and words, we use so much fantasy, and so now I still relate to it.
Okay.
I relate to fantasy when I think in openness, and
Well,
and I have
if
this
it's a
rejection.
fantasy, if it's a fantasy and you know it's a fantasy, you already know that it's not true. Otherwise, you wouldn't call it a fantasy. See, so you know it's not true. It's just something you're fantasizing, something you want to believe in, or something you're imagining. And then you align yourself to that. In the old days, when I used to teach at Unitas House, I made it just when I was in my 20s. I made it my job to destroy people's fantasies. And, over time, though, I decided, no, that's not the way to go, because you destroy their fantasies, they get discouraged. Say, they're discouraged, and then they don't know what to do. Kind of lost. And so I changed to, okay, let's just move your fantasy from here over to here a little bit, okay? All right, good. Now let's move it from here over to there, etc. Then I would just slowly work with their fantasies, whatever, to make them more grounded and more real. But I let them keep their fantasies. What the hell? Until eventually they didn't, Just kind of like when people came and said they come from karate. And they'd ask me, should I give up karate? I said, no, why would you do that? I said, well, because you don't do karate and you don't seem to think it's a good thing. I said, no. You don't give up karate on my behalf. Don't do that. I said, if at some point you see karate as something you don't want to do or is not effective, then you give it up, not before. As long as you still think it's effective, something you enjoy, something you want to do it. And then in every case, within a year or two, they'd always give up karate, and they would also always come back with the same basic. It used to seem so ferocious and so crisp and everything, and now it just looks silly and awkward and clumsy. I said, yeah. See, now you can quit karate. See, because you see it. You don't do it. See, because I didn't want somebody to just follow a path because they believe. Look, I could enroll you into fucking karate. I'm charming. I can convince people of stuff. Okay? So, and you got to sort out the wheat from the chaff. So you don't want to believe stuff. Right? In any case. But you see the trend, the direction. There's a difference between the fantasy and pretending and grounded openness. And you're starting to get a sense of the difference. So you don't want to go to extremes on either side. Or you do, but you both go both ways. More grounded, more open. See, and then be careful of drawing conclusions. You see, like, well, this doesn't matter. But there's all kinds of possibilities.
So say the difference, this grounded openness. Maybe it
Oh,
will
already
help
did.
me
Already did.
arise because I'm stuck in this relation with openness with fantasy, so I don't get to really open.
Openness is founded on not knowing.
Yeah, that's why we use this delusion of goddess, and because
No,
we
but
don't
that's
know.
a knowing. That's a filling in. So allowing yourself to not know, then you really open. And notice that you know everything. Which is to say, you'll always say, well, I don't know, the capital of Kansas or something, whatever. I don't know, there's things I don't know. I don't know nuclear physics or whatever, See, but this is still in the domain of knowing, and these things are there, so to speak. But so you really know everything. So I am this way, the world is this way, and it works this way, etc., etc. That's important for survival. That's essential. See, so having real not knowing enter is sometimes a challenge because we're not used to it. But you know, people get into these things and it's self-perpetuating. Say, its own, the own world will reinforce itself and make it seem more and more real, you know, because it's like Aikidoists. I know lots of Aikidoists. I've got a good friend, top Aikido guy. But see, they get into a world of Aikido and they think they're master martial artists where they're not. And they think they can do all these things, but the only reason they can do these things is because of the parameters of Aikido and the cooperation of the players. So take that away and it doesn't work. And you know, it's like this guy who did the Ki-Aiki. You know, and there's lots of those. In the Chinatown, we had guys like that. And we'd challenge them, but they always had their excuses for why they couldn't make it, you know, they couldn't prove it as real. See, and they would move people without touching. See? And this one guy was moving people without touching in his own world, his own students and everything. It seemed all very real to him. And it seemed real to his students. And in that domain, it was real in that it worked with them. It's kind of like voodoo. Voodoo works with the people who believe in voodoo. You don't believe in it, it doesn't work. See? And but if you do, it does. And so, in this case, you see, an MMA guy was challenged. He was challenged, you know. Will he get like $5,000 or something like that?
The teacher, the Ki teacher, apparently threw out a challenge to anybody that would fight him.
Right, and an MMA guy
Offered a couple $1,000, maybe $5.
took him up on it.
Yeah.
And it's video of it, and it's stark. The Ki-Aiki guy could not fight at all. As a matter of fact, the MMA guy was kind of confused because the guy couldn't fight. And he thought he could really do it, but the MMA guy's like, you know, you're waving your hands around, so what? You know? And then he smacked him, and you could see he'd never really gotten hit before. Ow, that hurts. It's like, ow, that hurts. The fist hurts, you know. I thought my key hurt, but, you know, this really hurts, or whatever, you know. And he was completely lopsided. So he lost in a big way. You see. Now, and that was probably pretty obvious. Now, I applaud his courage for putting his ass on the line, but you got to see, he believed it. Do you understand? See, he believed it so much, he actually thought it would work with somebody who wasn't going along with the program. So in any case, so I started isolating these things, see, and what's real and what's not real, and what makes somebody good, what doesn't, right? And what is fighting really about? See, strip all the dogma, all the traditions, and all the arts away, which I did. See, and then say, mano a mano. Okay, there's a physical body, there's perception, there's interpretation. You see, there's action, there's force, there's various possibilities, etc. It's huge amounts of stuff involved, but it's all grounded in physics and mind and whatever, perception. See, and this is what's actually taking place, an intent, an impulse. This is what's occurring. The rest are inventions people made up to practice. Some of them, most of them are not very good, as you find out in the MMA.